Hello, Atlanta Realtors. Welcome to the Atlanta Realtors Association Rundown. My name is Helen Hernandez Archer. I'm your new host in 2025-2026. I am so excited to be here. But if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you never miss our exclusive episodes on real estate in our amazing city. I am super excited to present to you Fernando Chavarria, who is a top producer and over the last few years have found massive success through social media as a single agent. I can't wait to hear your story, Fernando. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Helen. I'm actually very excited to be here and just to kind of give people, some ideas on how I can help people basically figure out this whole social media game. I don't have it all figured out, but I think I got something, and it's been working
you do
for me.
have a lot figured out, and I can't wait to experience with you how you have done your business over the last 8 years, because that's what our audience needs is really understand that they can do it. It's not perfect, but they can do it. It's totally doable. So can you share with us how you started in real estate? What made you become a real estate agent, and how's it going?
I would tell you this. It's a funny story because back when I was in high school, just to kind of give you an idea, I watched the first season of $1 Million Listing, and I said, this is what I want to do, right? But I graduated in '07, and then the market tanked, so I didn't go into that. Long story short, I was working insurance, doing all this stuff, collections, all that stuff, right? And then my wife one day was like, you seem very unhappy. You should just do what you want to do. And then I told her, I've always wanted to do this real estate thing. And she said, yeah, just go ahead and do it. And I basically quit the job, went to school, and just got my license. And like every other realtor, I thought the moment I got my license, there was going to be $1 million check right behind it. And then I had to learn the hard way that, this business takes a lot. Just to, get you can say the wheels going, right? Just to kind of get going. So I kind of made a lot of mistakes early on in my career. And now I can say that I'm blessed to know that, I have an idea what to do, and I just kind of stick to that. And that's just how I run my business. But funny story is, if you Google my name, Chavarria, I had no idea until this year. My daughter had a school project and they were doing like meaning of names. If you Google Chavarria, the meaning of it is new home.
No
It
way.
It is.
Wow.
So that is something that I found out this year, and we're going to change all our branding and everything because it's in our name, basically. It
was always meant to be.
Basically, yeah. I had no idea my last name just means new home. And not just home, new home.
Well,
which is...
to all our new builders and builders out there, we have a new person here for you because even the marketing comes with it. Well, I love that. And it's interesting that you mentioned about the $1 Million Listing because I love that show. I became a realtor in 2005 actually, but okay. I started selling in 2006 and then the market tanked. And it's interesting because the television gives you an idea of what it should be or how it would be, but it's totally not like that.
Exactly. I saw that and I'm like, man, these kids, they look young and they're making so much money. I'm like, I need to live that lifestyle, right? And then you come in here. I remember the day I got my license. I had to drive to Macon, by the way, because all the appointments for all the testing sites were filled up. So I had to go to Macon. I went to Macon on the drive back. I was like, like that feeling of like you've made it. And then the next day happened, and I'm like, okay, what do I do now?
What do I do now? And so walk me through the first 6 months to a year, because off camera, we spoke about this, and it was so interesting to me how you started doing something, it didn't work, and then something else happened.
Yeah, so like every good realtor, I wanted to reinvent the wheel, right? So I came in. I've always been on social media. I've had my accounts early on, like, there's a new app that comes out, I open up an account and just kind of explore it, right?
Well, you grew up with it. It's the
I grew up with it, yeah. So shout out to my millennials here.
Yes.
But that happened, and then started posting. Then I just didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, hey, I'm a realtor, this and that. And then I expected my phone to just start ringing. And then one day after taking all these...
Like $1 million listing. Like it starts ringing from a $3 million listing.
Exactly.
Right.
So then I started going to all the classes, right? The open house classes, everything, door knocking, whatever. Early on, I went door knocking once and I hated it. And I was like, I'm not doing this again. And then one day, in one of the classes, somebody was like, you can't skip a house. When you go door knocking, you can't just skip a house. You got to do them all. It doesn't matter, right? Because you never know what's on the other side of the door. So after months of me doing all this creative stuff that's getting me nowhere, I realized that, okay, I have to make outbound calls. This is the way that we're going to get business. Like, I keep doing all this stuff and my phone's not ringing. Like, what's going on? Then I wasted like 3-4 months doing that and nothing. Like, I had my first closing 5.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
You said wasted. Do you think it was wasted?
I think so. Well, yes and no. It taught me, I learned some lessons, right? Early on, I figured out, okay, I'm putting all this content, nobody's like consuming it. Then I understood that, okay, I need to figure out what people want to watch and what people want of me, and then they will watch the stuff, right?
So what I hear you saying is you first have to figure out your audience and the client that you want, sounds to me.
Kind of, and then the people who follow you. Like, okay, who are the majority of people that follow me? Believe it or not, I found out like early on last year that I have a bunch of moms that follow me. And I had no idea. I thought it was mainly guys, but I went back to the,
How
analytics.
did you check that?
And like, it kind of tells you the demographic, where
Okay.
they're from. And then like one day I tested it out and I'm like, let me do a poll. I'm gonna do a giveaway, and I listed 3 things. And everybody picked the Dyson hair dryer.
And what platform did you use for that?
On Instagram.
On Instagram.
And then that's when I started noticing the pattern. And then I was like, okay. Then I went back and started looking at everybody who was commenting. I was like, oh, wow, I have a big mom following. I had no idea.
So when you started 8 years ago, the first 6 months, you sold nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, and then what happened? You started calling people.
I started calling people. So because I wasn't going to door knock. I was doing open houses, but I wasn't doing them good. I come from like a collections background. So you can say I've had
Cold calling.
Cold call. I had a lot of great experience on the phones, right? I've heard it all from people that were losing everything to whatever, right? So then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call. So I didn't have a list. I didn't have money to purchase these softwares or whatever, or nothing. So I was like, you know what? Let me start with my phone book. So I started with, I think I had a few hundred people in my phone book. And I just started from A to Z. And I was like, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks to call everybody. So I started calling people. And in the beginning, it was terrifying because some of these people, I had no idea who they were. And I was like, you know what? Someone in the class said, you can't skip anybody. So I told myself, I am not going to skip anybody, even if I don't know who they are. So if I knew who they are, the script was very simple. It was basically like, hey, my name's Fernando. I'm updating my database. And I just came across your number. Let's just say Adam, right, with the A's. Hey, Adam, how you been? It's been like 3-4 years. Like, man, how's life, right?
Were there people there that you didn't know who they were?
There was like most of them. I had no idea who they were.
Oh, we used to hang out back in 2002.
Yeah, so there was a lot of people that had no idea who they were. I had some people that was just like a letter. I don't know why, or some people that said bartender, like all kinds of people, right? Mm-hmm. I had some guy named Guy at the Beach. I don't know what that meant.
Oh, Lord.
But
I don't want to know the guy at the beach.
Yeah, so then I called people. So my script was like, okay, I don't know these people, right? But they're in my phone book. So we met somewhere. We did something because I have their phone number. So I called them and say like, hey, this is Fernando. I'm updating my database. I don't know how I have your number, Richard. But we met. We must have had a great time because I have your number saved in here. Like, how do we meet? Who are you, right? I want to know who you are. Most of the people just started cracking up, just like you did. And they were like, I don't know who you are, man. I have no idea. How do you have my number saved? And then we just started going back and talking about it. And then obviously some people, we figured it out. Some people we didn't. And then I was like, well, man, it sounds like we're never going to figure this out. But just so you know, I'm in real estate. So I went through my script, basically. Mm-hmm. I'm a real estate agent now. This is what I do.
Wow.
And then like just started basically doing that. And the people that knew me already, my script was, okay, let me ask them the questions I want them to ask me. Mm-hmm. So I would ask them like, are you still at work? Are you still at that company? What do you do now? And then they will turn around and ask me the same thing. You know, I'll be like, yeah, I just started this real estate career and this happened. And that's how I got my first few transactions. And the funny thing was, my first one was a kid I wasn't going to call.
Oh, you didn't skip him.
I was like, man, he's like 19, 20. Like, why am I gonna call him? Like,
A 19-year-old.
And
He
then
will
I-
never buy.
I was just like, you know what? But I said I wasn't gonna skip anybody, so I called him, and then he said, yeah, you know what? I do have some money saved. I do want to buy a house. Let's do it. And he was my first transaction. And I was gonna, like, in my head before I dialed, I was like, nah, he's not gonna buy a house, right? I was already like putting up those barriers, you can say, because you never know what's on the other side of the phone. And then early on, I realized, no, I just gotta speak to as many people as I can. So then that's when everything started happening.
So do you see or that by calling it enhances your social media, or your social media has enhanced your lead generation?
It definitely has enhanced it. Okay, so I'll tell you, the thing about social media is this. A lot of people think that you're going to post 3, 4, 5, even 10, 30 videos, and then you should get business, right? It's like anything is going to take time. And then especially if someone knows you as, like, you used to sell cars, right? Or I used to be known as the insurance guy. It took a while for people not to think of me as the insurance guy and then become like the realtor guy. So that's the one thing about social media. A lot of people post 2, 3 videos and get discouraged and say, well, I didn't get nobody to call me.
It's consistency.
It's consistency and being there for years, and then like knowing what people want to watch. You know, like I can sit here and talk about stats all day long. Okay, here's a breakdown in the real estate market. I mean, after a while, those videos get annoying. And I'll tell you that. I mean, if you do them, that's cool. It's your thing. But for me, like every beginning of the month, I get like 5 or 6, 10 videos that show up on my feed and just people doing stats. I can skip them. I don't watch them. You know, and it's like in not just our industry, all kinds of industries, right? If I'm not interested on it, I'm not paying attention. So then I thought, okay, you know, with social media, with video, anything, you have to be smart. Okay, you either have to educate people, you have to entertain them, or you have to like show them something, right? And that is what I was like, okay, well then my content needs to be, if it's not entertaining, like anybody can just watch it. If I'm too niche, like I'm too stuck in a thing, then I'm gonna miss a whole lot of people. And then I've seen the growth when I just involve my family and just do all kinds of stuff, because then it connects with more people. And
how long did it take you to get to, how many followers do you have in TikTok?
Like 215 or
Thousand?
1,000, yeah.
How many followers do you have on Instagram?
30 something.
39,000. I saw it. Yeah.
I don't keep up with it, to be honest.
I keep up with it. I keep up with it because I look at you as an inspiration to me, because obviously not because you're younger, but you have just gone out there and start doing it, and you don't pay for advertising. This has been organically.
Correct.
And that's impressive, because the majority of these influencers pay to get followers just so it shows that you have that 250,000
Yeah.
or that 40,000. And I think those numbers give you some sort of credibility or some sort of status that you are liked and you're followed. But your followers, how long did it took you to get to that number, and did you ever paid?
No. Well, the thing is, I'll tell you this. I don't keep up with it. And that I think that is what keeps me sane. I don't care how many people follow me. I just care that the right people watch my stuff, right? And there's some stuff, and a lot of people think that everything you post has to go viral. And this is coming from like somebody who's gone viral like a lot of times, right? I think my most watched video.
So explain what gone viral is for some of our audience who doesn't know what that is.
I think there's this whole thing that people think there has to be like a millions of views, right? You can go viral locally. It can be a few thousand people that watch your stuff. And that's, in my opinion, that is going viral, because that's more people that typically will watch your stuff are watching your stuff. So a lot of people get caught up on only got 500 views. Well, that's 500 people that saw your stuff today. Okay, so like you need to kind of break that down. It's like, imagine if you had to make 500 calls in a day. That's a lot of calls.
But then also I hear you can have a lot of views and a lot of shares, but it's all about the engagement.
Correct. So, and that is the other thing too. So it's gotten to the point where it's very difficult to reply to everybody, because it just takes a lot of time, right? But it's about, okay, so the number one thing about social media, you got to think about watch time and if it's shareable. If the content is shareable, then the algorithms are going to boost it, right? So And I've noticed that, and I track that a lot. It's the thing I pay attention. Is like when I make a video, I see the percentage of people that like it, that commented, but the shares are important. Because if your content's not shareable, then the algorithm, it's not going to push it. Because if you think about it, the algorithm is designed in a way to keep you inside of the app. And if your content is being shared and watched by other people,
then you're popular to them, and then they want more of you.
Exactly.
Automatically.
So they're going to boost you. So that's when you have to be, when you're making content, it's like, is this something that other people want to watch?
All right.
And then like you can, niche down to a sector, right? But I think I found all my videos that have the most views have nothing to do with real estate.
And in terms of the themes or the campaigns or the topics, I noticed that you have lately, because I follow you, you have done some great videos, specifically one that I love, which is how do Gen X's like their homes? So tell me about how you choose those topics and what makes you do more of, and what just say, okay, this didn't work. How do you design that?
Well, I will tell you this. So growing up, I was always like the class clown, like one kid who just wanted to make everybody laugh. And for a point in my life, I thought I was going to do stand-up, like for real.
Stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to watch all those specials, and, I was super deep into like Dave Chappelle, like all these stand-up comedians, right? I love the art of it because it's like very difficult. It's just storytelling, basically. So I'm that kind. My personality is like that, right? I'm always been that person. Like I show up to a party or whatever, or a gathering.
Life at the party.
I don't say that I want to be that, but I naturally just like to have fun, right? I just love making people laugh. So a lot of my showings are kind of funny. Like some of my clients, I just got a review from a client that we just closed, actually from TikTok. She left it on my review. She's like, actually, he's very friendly and is actually a funny guy. Because I like to make it fun. If we're going to look at a house and we already know it's not going to work right, at that point, I'm just like roasting the house.
You're roasting the house.
It's like, okay, what were they thinking about this?
And the crown moldings.
Yeah, it is like, sometimes, when you already know it's not going to work, right? So that's just my natural thing. So after doing so many buyer consultations, helping so many people buy a house, everybody kind of fits in a bucket. And I've identified those things and like identify the patterns. Like, for example, with millennials, right? Which is like, I think the biggest video out of that series because it's gone viral everywhere I post it.
So it's a series. What did you title the series, or?
I just one day I saw a video on a guy that he was saying like things that I think he said like Latino guys like, right? And he started talking about all so I was like, wait, I can do that with the real estate version of that.
Okay.
So I did. So I made the real estate version. Okay, things that millennials like in homes, and it's so obvious. And it's like I am just speaking truth. If you look at the comments, like
listen, it's so obvious that my best friend in Miami sends me this video about this guy in Atlanta, and guess what? It was you. And I'm like, what? It was that video when what Gen X buyers like. Specifically, she said crown molding, and I'm like, why is she in Miami sending me something from somebody in my own town? And I'm like, thank goodness I know you, and you're awesome. But that's the power of social media. I think that right there is defining what your audience will like, and that has gone viral. I think that's one of your most.
I think
viewed.
all of them have
from that series.
Yeah, some of them have 1 million views, some will have like 400, 500,000 views, and like I keep getting comments on them.
400,000.
Yeah, I think the millennial one, it has over 1 million. I think it's like 1.4 million or something like that. And then it went viral everywhere too, not just on. And that's the other thing. I would tell you it's because I noticed the patterns, right? I noticed like Gen Xers love their trim, like they love crown molding, they love baseboards. That's me. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It is funny because when I watched it, I identified it. I'm a mom, and I identify with that. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And but you said it in the roasting way also, because you did say nothing says more than you made it than coffer ceilings.
Exactly.
Like what?
I mean, I remember growing up. I mean, because I have Gen X parents, obviously, and growing up, like I remember going to like my mom's friend's house, right? And she had coffer ceilings, and she always thought like, oh my gosh, she has money, right? Because fancy house. And it's like, and it's true. Like every time we go to a house and we see all these like stuff on it. You're like, yeah, this is it's expensive to do. You don't have to do it, but it's done. And it's like it elevates the house, right? Like anything else that we've seen.
So, in terms of as a solo agent, how do you manage all of this? Because I know you've been a solo agent and you added people to your team. Tell me your progression and where you are right now.
So, well, as far as how I manage the real estate side, or how I handle social media?
Operations
right now I'm down to basics. I'm rebuilding. So I've been a solo agent for a while. Then 2-3 years ago, I started a team. Then I've had people on my team. I've had all like assistants. I have marketing people. I've had agents, all kinds of agents, right? And then right now I'm at the rebuilding stage because I noticed that not that we are different, but the things that we need as a team and what's creating us the leads in the business, like I need to hire somebody else, like other people, right? So
but you do have, so what you told me is that you do have a full-time videographer.
I do. I just hired my first time a few weeks ago.
So that's key, because that means if you have a full-time videographer, even before your assistant, that means that the social media is really taking precedence in here.
It comes with the lead generation part.
Okay.
Most of the business comes from there. Like the last closing I had Monday. He's done like 5 or 6 transactions. He's done business a lot. He's moved a lot. And then he told me like, yeah, the reason why I called you is because you're on my feed all the time. Mm-hmm. And he's like, so this house came across, my like he saw it and he's like, and the first person he thought about was me. So he called me, even though he's had other relationships with other agents, but because he's like, you always show up. It's like my whole thing about it is I want to have mind share with everybody that follows me. So that's what we do in the traditional real estate space, where we do the text messages, we do the letters, we do the calls, we do all the marketing plans that we have, right? But on my side, people hear from me like over 30, 40 times a month.
That's a lot of touches.
That's a lot of touches because I'm very active on my stories.
You're staying top of mind for sure.
Correct. And then like, that is the thing. I want to just have mind share. So when people think of real estate, they just think of me. Or if they have their go-to realtor, at least I'm in the picture somewhere.
But so you, besides the social media, you have your traditional methods of postcards and
we do that,
newsletters and that sort of thing, or you're strictly social media?
We do social media, but we're heavy on events. So we do.
Tell me more about that.
So we do events. We do a couple of times. We do I'll give you an example. We do like ice cream socials, like in different parts of the city. So like we've done some, like I have some clients in Marietta. So we book like an ice cream shop and we just tell everybody who lives within a 15-minute radius, hey, we're going to be here. Just come. Free ice cream on us, right? We do those things. We've done pictures with Santa. So we invited, first everybody who bought a house, then everybody, past clients, right? Active clients, and then everybody else. So we don't really post about it a lot because I want it to become like this secret thing within the people that's in our database. Because I wanted to feel like, okay,
I'm special.
Like if you look at my socials, you're not gonna see anything, all those events that we do, because I want people to want to be in my database, because that's the only way they're getting invited. Like I'm not posting.
But maybe sometimes post about these things because they say, oh, I want to get invited to these private events. I can only be invited if I'm his client.
Well, that we do a little bit of that,
okay,
but we don't like full on say this is what we're doing for all our clients. Like we kind of do it. With the Christmas one, we kind of did. We kind of put it out there, and then we do like giveaways on our newsletter. We do giveaways on our socials too. I just recently found out that everybody is going crazy over this mixer that's green and has like a bowl. A wooden bowl on it. It's like one of those mixers where people make bread and cookies and whatever. I don't know what they call.
Okay.
I posted about it because I was at Crate and Barrel, and like the amount of people that like just reached out on my stories, like if you do a giveaway of this, I am like telling everybody about it. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Giveaway.
So that's how a lot of people get added to my database. We do giveaways, like we do tickets to different things that happen around the city, games and stuff
So
like that.
it sounds to me like you have used social media to enhance what you already have built with the lead generation, calling your database. So you
Correct.
still are a traditional lead
Agent.
generation, but
Correct.
the social media has really expanded and enhanced what you already have, that you're not completely depending on social media because you still are getting your regular database calls.
And I think that's where a lot of
referrals.
people go wrong. They think, okay, all my business is coming from here, but you still got to take care of the business. You know, you still have to, like, everybody that closed with us last year, I sent them a handwritten note at the end of the year. And then I went out and printed out, and you know, those little, the photos, the instant photos that you get.
The Polaroids.
The Polaroids, yeah. I printed out, like, I stalked them on social media. I got some good pictures of them, and then, like, I printed it out and sent it to them.
That's nice.
And it's those personal touches that we love doing, and we love doing, like, random things for people too. Like,
Well, you're a busy guy, though. So tell us about how you manage your time. You have 3 kids. You
I
have
do.
been married for 13 years?
14.
14 years. And you have your hands full at home. How do you manage all of this as a solo agent, and yet you are so successful?
well, I will.
Without an assistant.
Yeah, well, I had an assistant up until December 30th. And
Okay,
then I'm looking
you're
for a new
fired.
one.
You're fired. Well,
I've
you're
had, like-
hiring. If you're hearing this, come and call it Fernando because he's hiring.
Yeah, I am. I'm actually holding interviews this week for some. But I would tell you there's this whole myth, and I could be 100% wrong, right? But I heard this early on in my career. I don't know where I heard it from, that the key is living a very unbalanced life, basically. A lot of people try to look for balance, and it doesn't work, and you end up having a lot of problems. So when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm with my family, I'm with my family. Like, and that is the thing, right? So,
Do you shut down your phone after a certain time? Do you protect your time? How do you protect your time?
it depends on what I'm doing. I kind of know what's happening. Like, for example, there are times that I have to have my phone on me because I'm waiting for an offer or two to get accepted, right? So it's those things that I'll let the family know, hey, by the way, we may be at dinner or something. I'm waiting on a text, I'm waiting on a call, so I may have to go do that, right?
So you ask for permission, or
I do.
you give them the information so they know the expectation.
Yeah, and then my kids know exactly what's going on. Like, I am not gonna not be their dad and also be a realtor when I'm with them. Like, they know what I do. Sometimes I take them with me. I mean, when I started, my 9-year-old daughter, she was like a year and a half, 2, whatever, how old she was. She was with me at the showings. She was with me at the closings because we couldn't afford childcare.
Wow.
So she's been with me. Like, I remember people.
Future buyer's agent.
Yeah, she is great, actually. I think out of everybody that
I've seen, yes.
I think she's gonna be a great realtor. She might be taking over the business.
Well, that's the legacy, and that's exactly where, I've been in the business for 19 years, and that's where you want it to be. I mean, I'm very passionate about it, and you don't want it to die with you. You want it to keep on with your next generation, and that's awesome that you already see that in her.
Yeah, that, and just being super purposeful too. Like, with my wife, we know we have boundaries. Like, we know when things are gonna happen. Like, I'll give you an example. I try not to work on Sundays, but there are some times that I have to. It just depends on the situation. Maybe a client's coming from out of town or whatever. But that give them enough notice, and I kind of make up for that too. So, okay, I have to work, but we can do this, we can do that. I try to be present. Like, one thing I do every single day.
Because you could burn out too.
You could. I drop off my kids at school. I do that on purpose. Like, I don't start working until after I drop them off at school. And I drop them off. My wife picks them up. And we are very intentional about that because I want to have those moments with them, at least in the morning, if I'm going to be gone all day, because I have so many appointments that day or whatever the thing is.
Yeah,
right?
you post a lot about a day in your life, and I follow that, and I see you grinding still at 7, 8 o'clock at night and waiting on offers and writing contracts. I follow that, and I'm like, how do you do it? And that's why you also have your wife that she helps you. She's part of this.
Exactly. And it's a team. I think early on we figured out that the one thing with us is we run our family like a team, right? Not like a real estate
So
team.
that's your team. There you go. You're not a solo agent. That's your real team.
Yeah, so like everybody knows like,
What they need to do.
What they need to do. Like, for example, I hear my little one telling my 3-year-old all the time. He's like, "Shh, be quiet, Daddy. It's on the phone, right?" And she's like,
she's already director of operations.
right. So she's doing that, and she's like, "Look, if Daddy sells his house, we can go do this, right?" So she knows. They know, and then like sometimes she comes in my office and she asks me, "So how much money we made this week?" And I'm like, "You really?"
That's
so,
accountability.
Yeah. So she is like, and we had a challenge, right? We lead generation challenge earlier in the year, and we had a board in our dining room, and she will be the one every day asking me, "Did you make your 20 contacts today?"
Wow.
So like
you just gave me an idea.
So the kids will keep you accountable. If you tell them you're going to do something.
I mean, let's not have kids to have a better business, okay?
No, but they will.
But they do. They
and you
keep
have to
accountable.
involve your family. I think the biggest mistake that most people make is having that separation. Because my kids have fun with me sometimes. Like I tell them, "Hey, we're going to go out and I'm going to show this. We're in Atlanta. We're going to show some condos today, right?"
And they go with you?
Sometimes they want to go with me. And they just want to hang out. And because, we're in Atlanta. And then after the shows, we're going to do something cool.
Oh.
So there's a lot of that. But just being fully transparent and just telling them what's happening. Or when I'm having a bad day, those days that you get like 2 or 3 terminations and like everything is going wrong, right? They know, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, like, we'll get out of your way," type of thing, like deal with your own stuff. So I think it's that, being open with the family and talking and having the right expectations and being purposeful with, I think the thing that's worked for me is I have a very different relationship with each one of my kids and my wife. Like I know my 3-year-old ones, like I know she loves Starbucks, so I take her on random Starbucks things, right? She gets a little, whipped cream drink, whatever.
Yes, the pink drink.
And then like my middle one, she loves Target, so I randomly just take her to Target, right?
And you post all of this on social media so people can feel and get to really know you, your authenticity. And I think that's super important. Let's talk about authenticity on that. Do you see that people, once they call you, they already kind of know you, or are they still interviewing you? How's that conversion?
The majority of the time, I'm not being interviewed. I already have the business. Like I've had, like recently, the last listing we closed in December was, "Hey, DM, come list my house."
DM is direct message.
Direct message, yeah. Come list my house. Showed up like the next day or 2 days after. We sat down,
I
got
love
the
those
contract.
calls.
Yeah, and it's like it's a lot of that. Like the couple that we just closed from TikTok, and I asked them like, "Hey, how did you hear about me?" They're like, "TikTok," and they're like, "You're just like, we just connected with you."
Connection.
They just connected, and a lot of the times I go to these appointments with sellers or buyers, and they're asking me about my kids. I've had clients that have never met my kids and bought them stuff.
Oh wow!
Like I had a client last year.
The power of social media.
Yeah, like
clients giving you gifts.
I didn't even get a closing gift, right? I usually give them closing gifts, and they bought my daughter stuff because they knew that she loves Target. She loves going to Target, so they got her a gift card. So it's that. I'm letting people in my life. Obviously, it seems like I share a lot, but I only share enough that people will know me. There's a lot of stuff that I don't post.
But the key that I keep hearing is consistency is key, because that, if you stop, do you feel that your phone stops ringing, or?
Yeah, because it's it's like anything. If you stop marketing yourself, eventually people will forget about you because some other agent is going to come along and their marketing is going to be better or whatever.
Somebody told me this morning, I say, "Helen, why do you do these podcasts and all these videos, and what is the real purpose?" And I say, well, I think it's credibility, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Like your phone rings and you already have a credibility, sign the contract. But I think it's also giving back and getting people to know you. But there's also this layer, like you just said, there's that layer of transparency. How much is too much? Mm-hmm. And you could also smell the ones that are just a total facade, that are just driving expensive cars, and they just post it on social media, but they have sold maybe 5 houses. But you want to be transparent, authentic, and consistent, is what I hear you're saying.
Yeah, because people want to. If someone calls you that they want to list a house, right, and they're talking to other agents, they're gonna go with whoever they trust the most. Whoever they trust the most, that is gonna do the job, right? And if they don't get to know you, it's very difficult for them to trust you. And a lot of people get to know me. They know my kids' name before they ask about them. They ask about my wife. They know like where we go. Like I'm not posting every detail about my life.
But you still have to come
but I
and
have
perform,
to,
though.
exactly. You
still
have to show up.
Right.
And I do it enough to where I include them. Like, for example, it was snowing, and we did. I didn't have my kids wanted a sled, right? You saw that?
I saw that.
And I only had a
I
real
saw
estate
that.
sign.
You had a real estate sign, and you used this real estate sign as your sled.
Yeah. And it's like,
But that's fun.
But it's real life.
It's real life.
You know, that's real life. And I'm like, you know what? We're recorded. We're gonna do this. And my kids know. They know. Like all my kids have cameras. They all have. I don't post their stuff. My daughter has a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
My son also has a YouTube channel, but it's not real. Like they just record. But it's memories though. It's things that
That's awesome.
we will look back and see like, oh my God, look at them. You see what I'm saying?
Do you find that social media clients have different expectation or needs compared to the clients that find you through referrals?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, and it's the same exact thing. They have an issue, and you have the solution, right? And that's all there is to it. And just understanding what the issue is, I think it's what like sets us apart, and that's where the video series comes from. You know what different people want, because a lot of people want to feel understood, right? Everybody wants to feel understood, and when you really narrow it down, like. Someone sends you 5 houses, right? And you have the consultation with them, and you kind of already know you've done this so many times that you're like, okay, this is not going to work for you. I don't care. Like, to give you an example, I have some clients, they're like, we want to live in like Alpharetta, Roswell.
They think they know, but they don't know.
Right? And then they're like, they send me some houses in Cumming. And I'm like, those are beautiful homes, right? Because they're a lot more affordable than in Alpharetta or Roswell. And I was like, that is awesome. I'm like, I don't want to show you that house, because I know you're going to fall in love with it. But I know the most important thing for you is schools and proximity to your job. The conversation that we had, that was the most important thing. That's the reason why you're moving. So I'm like, we can go to Cumming. You're going to fall in love with the house. And trust me, you're going to want to put an offer on it. But I don't want to sell you something that 3 years from now you're going to be regretting buying, because you had the opportunity to buy closer where you wanted to be. So it's really understanding people and then kind of like helping them make the right decision. If you think about it, that's what we do. A lot of the times, people do whatever they want, and that's fine. I've done that, and I've told people like, hey, this is a better house, a better neighborhood. I think you fit in perfectly here, but they fell in love with this other house. They bought it, and I have helped people. Like 2 years later, they're calling me, hey, we don't want to live here anymore. I don't say I told you so, but
you have
I understand.
Through social media, I saw a video of you that through social media, you're able to brag without bragging. Like you speak that you're great at what you do without sounding. You have a way, and I applaud you for that, because it takes craft into how to do a video to speak about how well you do it without sounding braggadocious,
Which is one thing I hate about me. I hate talking about myself. This is hard. This right now, it's hard. And I hate talking about myself. I hate being that agent. It's like, look at me, look at what I've sold. I'm more about...
And I think that's your success. That's what people probably like about you the most, in that why I, as an agent, am attracted to your content, is because I don't feel like you have commission breath and you're totally fake. You are truly what you are, and in person you are exactly who you are, and you're authentic. So I love that. And for agents who are just starting to use social media, what are some of the things that you will tell them, don't do or do more of?
So number one is figuring out who you want to target, right?
Okay.
That's number one. Who is your perfect client, right? So any business that's going to sell something, they always figure out who they're going to sell to, and then that's how they build their business. So, and then you also have to understand who is already following you. Like, who is the group of people that are following me, right? And know, okay, is it just family? Is it just friends, coworkers? What are they all into? So then how can I connect with that group of people? Like, what can I talk about, right?
Connection.
So it's important about What do they care about, and can I bring that in and tie it into what I do? For example, you can if you know somebody. I'll give you an example. You're with a bunch of guys, right, and they're all Falcons fans, right? Then yeah, you gotta incorporate like football content and tie it up to real estate content, like figuring out okay.
But it's also who you are. You have to
Exactly.
be who you truly are.
Exactly.
You can't just fake it because
You can't
people
just
can
fake
see it.
Exactly, and you have to genuinely want to make the videos, right? If you hate making videos, it's gonna get hard because
And it will show.
You have to do them. And I love making it because it's fun for me. It's
Right.
like it's just fun. Like I can come up with. I have a million ideas of things I want to do. A lot of them I don't do them because they're a little too far. Like I'm pushing like, I'm kind of going too far. Even in the videos that I do, a lot of it I have to delete parts of it because in the moment they're funny, but then I'm like, no, this is not who I really am. Like so I delete some stuff.
Do you have somebody who looks at them and
My
filters
wife.
it? Okay, that's
My
always
wife.
good.
My
That's
wife.
always, she keeps you in check.
Yeah. So, but I think it's figuring who it is, and sticking to a plan and sticking it for a year. I think a lot of people make the mistake and say, I'm going to try it for 30 days. It's
And
not
how many
gonna work.
times a week?
I would say at least once or twice a week.
Okay. See,
Posting.
I've heard that you needed to do every day one post.
No, this is the thing. That's where a lot of people quit. It's like anything. Like I'm starting, like, for example, you run marathons, you do all this stuff. I am running my first half marathon in like a few months, right?
We're running it together. Yes.
Yes. So I have been training, and it's like 1 mile at a time.
That's right.
That's all there is to it. If you start with, I need to run 26 miles today,
You will
quit. So with this is know what you can do,
Take action.
take action, and just stay with it and be consistent with it and do it and commit to a year, not 6 months, not 4 months, commit to a year. And in a year, you will see your content will change. Like if you look at my stuff from years ago, it's so different than it is now. Even a year ago, it's so different, right? And then you would adjust things and you'll see what works and what doesn't work and what you like doing and you don't like doing. And to me, it's like, I just like having fun. Like if I can make people laugh and somehow bring it back to what I do, that's a win for me. So I try to do that. I don't want to do skits or funny videos, but I'm just telling truth about what the series that I have happening now. And I'm having fun with it. And it is evolved. It's changed. This is not something that
You don't have
I've
to
been
stick
doing
with
for
it.
years. I've been doing that series for 2 or 3 months now. It's something that just kind of clicked one day and I did it and it worked. And I just leaned into it.
Right.
And then
Keep doing more of what works.
exactly. And then what people want, it's like, but don't get discouraged if your posts are only getting 50 views, 100, 200, 500. That's more people that heard of you today than, if you didn't make anything. So,
Well, we could talk for hours, clearly, because I have enjoyed this conversation so much. And but we have come to the end. It's been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time and all the amazing information you have provided to our audience. I want to wrap it up by taking notes on the key points that we talked about. That before you do anything, you have to take action. You got to have a plan. You got to take action. And from our conversation, I'm taking authenticity, consistency, and I love never skip a door or a number. I take that because I'm the first one who skips a bunch of people on my calls because it's like they don't want to hear from me.
Yeah.
So never skip a number, never skip a door because you just never know
what's on the other side?
what's
Yeah.
on the other side. Well, thank you so much for your time. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss one of our exclusive episodes. Until next time, I'm Helen Hernandez Archer. Thank you.